PWF Empire is live. Thank you all for tuning in this Sunday night as we prepare to review WWE Battleground. This was a big show for many reasons. One of those reasons being this is the last, I guess, co-branded regular WWE pay-per-view outside of the Big Four. And also, this pay-per-view featured the big triple threat match between the three members of the Shield, or the former members of the Shield. I have to remember to say that because the group is done. Still haven't come to terms with that quite yet, but we got a reunion between the three of those guys tonight. Not the reunion that some people may have imagined, but they were all in the same ring nonetheless. This time, though, they were fighting over the WWE Championship triple threat match main event, and as you saw, that graphic that opened up the show, Dean Ambrose is still the WWE champion. He pinned Roman Reigns, did he? Yeah, he pinned Roman Reigns, because I remember, I was like, okay, that's interesting, because I remember, Steven, you had this thing where you said that they were like Pokemon, you know, one beats one beats the other, another beats the other, so I guess Bulbasaur beat Charmander
in Pokemon Go, that's out the window because apparently Vaporeon is the most powerful. And Vaporeon could beat everyone, even Jolteon. So maybe that's what happened in the Shield.
Okay, so I guess they had to change things up because of Pokemon Go. By the way, I didn't know Vaporeon was the strongest, and I have two. And they just so happen to be my two, my top two Pokemon. So
Yep, they're very nice. OP right now.
Okay, so outside of Pokemon, there's some stuff going on in WWE that I guess we could talk about tonight, and Evan will be joining us a little later on in the show. Battleground, which we're about to discuss right now. We'd love it if you guys chimed in and let us know your thoughts on the show overall as we discuss the matches. Feel free to discuss the matches in the chat if that's where you're watching right now. And you can also do so on Twitter with the hashtag PWF Empire, because as always, the conversation continues on and off air. Let's go ahead and get that conversation started with the way in which Battleground started tonight. This was a tag team women's match. Sasha Banks and a partner that was as yet to be determined versus Charlotte and Dana Brooke. And that partner turned out to be a debuting Bayley. But the interesting thing was they were talking as if this was like a one-off appearance from Bayley, that she wasn't going to be a mainstay on the roster, which I found kind of interesting. But Bayley was here nonetheless, and she contributed a bit to her team getting the victory in the end, but it was Sasha Banks who made the champion, Charlotte, tap out to the bank statement when everything was said and done.
Yeah, this was a pretty decent way to open the show, actually. The crowd was super into it. Bayley got them really into it. Sasha got them really into it. They were booing Charlotte just like they should have. To me, this was a very good, it was just all around good, and it was a good choice to open the show with.
Yeah, I enjoyed this matchup. It was a nice showcase for Bayley, but again, it was very weird just to take grasp of exactly what was going on, because you get that big shock and surprise with Bayley coming out, and you would think that this would be like a huge moment for her, but they made it very clear that Bayley was there only as support for Sasha Banks. She wasn't really like a featured player herself. She was just there in a supporting role for Sasha, and we didn't really get to see Bayley anywhere near her full potential at all, but she did have a few moments in the match. It was mostly just getting heat on Dana Brooke and Charlotte, and there was one point in the match, speaking of Dana Brooke, I think it was Cole, I think it was Cole. He said, "You have to admit, Dana Brooke has improved leaps and bounds since being under the tutelage of Charlotte." Do we really have to admit that? I don't think we.
I don't even know what that even means. The tutelage, like what has been. What
Charlotte is like her. I guess Charlotte is training her. It's one of those things. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. You help me out when I'm in a bind, and I'll teach you how to wrestle. I guess that's
kind of like make Dana Brooke great again or something. Is she like Bob Backlund?
Or great period. Shit, I'll just settle for decent.
Well, I'm wondering when Darren Young was great in the first place, but I mean, I'll give him the primetime players. That was pretty great. It's pretty great.
Okay. So yeah, solid match, nice showcase for Sasha Banks and Bayley. I guess she goes back down to NXT from this point. So
Yeah, well, this
there
is
you
the
go.
first time we've seen something like this, where the NXT people will be called up for a brief cameo, and then they'll make their permanent debut later. We've seen it with Sami Zayn. I don't think it's going to be long before we see Bayley as a mainstay. I think she's going to finish up with Asuka. I can't even say the name of this.
Asuka.
Asuka. I think
Yeah.
she's going to finish up with Asuka first, and then she'll be around. And the thing with it is, I think the reason they kept emphasizing that is because you have a brand split now, so you don't want to make people think that she's going to be on Raw automatically, because she could always go to SmackDown.
Alrighty, the second match for WWE Battleground was a New Day. Big E, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods versus the Wyatt family, Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman. This was a 6-man tag team match, and the Wyatt family, they win this match here.
Did you not? Oh, okay. You said Erick Rowan, right?
Who? I don't. Erica Rowan. I don't know her.
the one Erick Rowan, the MVP of the Wyatt family, the MVP of Raw.
They have
And now
intergender
SmackDown.
matches. Erica Rowan. I don't know her.
Oh man.
But
This is
yeah.
a disgrace.
Anyway, the Wyatt family wins here. Bray Wyatt hits Xavier Woods with Sister Abigail and gets a victory.
Well, thank God for that. You know what? Xavier Woods, he's kind of been annoying me with this these faces that he makes. I completely do not buy it. I'm not gonna insult him completely, but like I have in the past, just to get under your skin. But whenever he does this, like, I'm scared of the Wyatts thing, I just don't buy it. But that's over with now, so there's not really much to say. But it was a cool moment to see him break that spell and get some offense in on Bray. And I thought this was a decent 6-man tag. It wasn't anything really to write home about, but it was serviceable, and I'm glad the Wyatts won. But I mean, who knows if they're even going to be together? At least Erick Rowan and Bray and maybe Luke Harper. But what the hell is Braun Strowman going to do on Raw by himself? That's why I posted the Twitter.
You had a
status about him
theory on
dancing.
Twitter.
Yeah, he's going to be dancing. It's the big guy effect.
Yeah.
They start off as a monster and they end up dancing.
I mean, you have 3 hours to fill. You need to be innovative. I wouldn't necessarily say
shake
that's
it up.
innovative.
It needs to be a variety show, right? You need some dancing in there. And they fired Hornswoggle, so what are they gonna do? They gotta have some freak on there.
Yeah, shake it up, like shake it up literally. He'll be doing a little shimmy
Yeah,
and
they'll
shake.
get since no one has the Better Call My Mama theme song. We'll just give it a Braun Strowman right now. Keep
Yeah,
it
they
on.
would like to recycle that thing. It's about time Braun Strowman, it's his turn. But as far as this match is concerned, it was a solid match. I fooled myself into thinking that this was going to be something really good because, remember the classic battles that the Wyatt family had with the Shield and stuff like that. But then I remembered that, Luke Harper, the best one in the friggin' ring, he's gone and he's been replaced by Braun Strowman. So yeah, those dreams were.
I mean, that's true, but also
out.
the New Day is really, you can't. They're a different animal from
Yeah.
the Shield. I mean, the Shield was as legit as it got, and the New Day is. I'm not gonna say anything bad about the New Day, but they do have that huge goofy side, so it's not like two badasses fighting. So it's hard to get that, but it was a decent match. I'm not really sure what you were expecting. I don't think I was expecting anything more than what we got.
This one wasn't even really about the action as I watched it. It was more so about the story that they were attempting to tell with Xavier Woods and Bray Wyatt, and that was an interesting portion of the match. And it's kind of crazy because I know Xavier Woods is a wrestler, but his claim to fame these days is him on the mic and his crazy antics when he's serving
On
in
the
somewhat of
trombone.
like a manager role on the outside of the ring. So I always am amazed every time I get a chance to see him wrestle because it's like he doesn't do it as often as Kofi Kingston and Big E. And that like flurry of offense that he went on towards the end of the match, that was really exciting to see. And that was probably like the highlight of the match for me, just seeing Xavier Woods get in the ring and do what he does.
I think this feud ended up being a lot better than I hoped it, that I expected it to. I thought this would be I thought this would seriously undermine the Wyatts, and it really didn't undermine them at all. So I think, and it told a decent story. It wasn't a generic 6-man feud. It was they had some semblance of a story in here. And as much as I don't really care for Xavier's acting, it was still something to give it some flavor, and it's kept it interesting. And they tried something new with the the compound segment.
Yeah, then immediately forgot about it the next week.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, which was 10 times better than the final deletion.
No, it wasn't. Stop hating. Stop hating.
Stupid segment.
At least the fucking final deletion stuck.
Yeah,
and you say it was stupid. That was intentional. A dilapidated boat, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Senior Benjamin.
Oh, man. Why do you gotta compliment Matt Hardy for? We don't do that. We don't want to
criticize when necessary, but give credit where credit is due. That's my thing. I gotta give credit. Okay.
So what's the next match?
Next match was the United States Championship match, Rusev versus Zack Ryder. Rusev wins after Zack Ryder taps out to that modified accolade. Does that have a different name, or is it just...
No, that's the accolade, but I love it. I love that. I love that transition. And I think Rusev he doesn't get as much credit as we should give him. He is a legit wrestler when he's in that ring. Like, I still buy him, even after... Even though he had the stupid anti-American gimmick, which for some reason worked, and I guess that reason was Lana. Even after that, even after he was beaten by Cena, and then went into the League of Nations, became a jobber or whatever he was supposed to be, he's still legit. Like he looks like a brute, he fights like a brute, and he gets important wins when it comes to maintaining and winning the titles. And that accolade does look really good when he transitions it into that modified version. So I like Rusev a lot.
Yeah, I do too. And this was a nice match. I think it was very well booked. You had Rusev as a big power guy and Zack Ryder as the underdog. And I'm glad that it was booked in that way, because I look at what's happening with Zack Ryder, and I always have to make sure that WWE doesn't cross the line. Like, there's a certain line that you just can't go past at all. And if this was booked to be an even match where they go back and forth, I was like, yeah, this isn't gonna fly at all. So I'm glad to see that they
not how it,
like, because this whole fascination with Dolph, I almost called him Dolph Ziggler. That should pretty much tell you guys what I think about Zack Ryder.
They're very similar. They're very similar.
Very.
No,
but
I agree with you. The fascination is strange. No, I like Zack Ryder a lot, but I would never say that he should be like, he should never be booked to be majorly credible. He should always be sort of this underdog. I was just upset that they took him off TV after he got so hugely over, but this is basically the role he should be in my opinion. He should get get some victories once in a while, but for the most part, I think he should be
against people like Heath Slater, Curtis Axel.
Come on.
Those are some credible folks right there.
So what about Mojo Rawley? He comes in at the end. He saves Zack Ryder. I guess they might pair him up again on SmackDown.
Yeah, they're probably going to reform that team. And I'm quite sure Rusev spoke for a lot of people when he was looking like, who the fuck is this jabroni? When Mojo Rawley came running out to the ring, it's like, Did anybody call for you? Like, why are you...
Is Mojo Rawley still ass? Because I remember when he first debuted, I thought he was dumb, but did he get any better?
He's still the same Mojo Rawley, but it's that breaking ground effect where I do not hate Mojo Rawley. I don't hate him. Oh,
because you saw the documentary or whatever?
Because I got a bit more of a sense of his personality, and he seems like a really fun guy, and that extends to his in-ring persona, and it's very goofy, and it's kind of obnoxious, but I like Mojo Rawley.
Yeah, he doesn't seem that bad, but I do remember him being kind of stupid.
Well,
I think with Zack Ryder...
The thing is, he has not changed. He has not changed. It's just my opinion of him has changed. So if you thought he was stupid before, chances are you probably will continue to think
when in the context of him and Zack Ryder, I kind of like him a little bit more because I think that's a decent pairing. I think they fit well together.
And at this time, we'd like to welcome Evan to the show. And also, before we move on to the next match, I have to say that was a nice drop kick from I almost called him Dolph Ziggler again. Zack Ryder from the ring, not the apron, but the security barricade when they were on the outside of the ring. Really nice drop kick from Zack Ryder. But
hi, gentlemen.
What's up? So you arrived at a very perfect time in the show.
Yes.
We are going to discuss Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens.
Oh man.
Holy
No
shit.
better-
What
no
a
better way to
terrible
go on
match. Just kidding.
Well, you've said some pretty ridiculous things before, and you weren't kidding about them, so who knows?
Does that have anything to do with the hat that I'm wearing?
Yes, very much so.
I don't know what that could be. Anyway, yeah. What can we say about this match? It was so fucking good, man. This was a great match. We all.
And you know that saying that people always use when they say this is nothing to write home about? Like, they never use that in a positive sense. Like, oh, this is something to write home about. You know what? This match was so fucking good. I'm thinking about, like, writing home. Like, I know you don't know who the hell Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are, but you, like, gotta watch this match. Because this match
Here's
was
my network
amazing.
password and username.
Yeah, give her the password, everything. Like, you gotta watch this match.
Yeah, it's almost so much to write home about. You don't know what exactly to write down. Just a bunch of like exclamation points and gibberish. You don't even know what to say because it was so good. It was easily one of the best matches of the year, in my personal opinion. I was just like dumbfounded by how good it was, and to be able to say that, given how many times these two guys have already wrestled in WWE, outside of WWE, whatever. The fact that you could still say that about these two guys just shows how innovative they are, how creative they are, how good they are with one another, and that they always are willing to do something different. They always find a way to make their match one of the best, if not the best match, in this case, the best match of the night. And I think that's really amazing. That's a credit to both Zayn and Owens because they're both so good that they can do that. I mean... Like again, there's a lot of matches we always talk about that, you know, when it happens enough times, you're like, oh, I've seen this match. I don't feel like I'll ever really say that about these two, and I know they're going to wrestle
I haven't seen this
lot.
match nearly enough.
No, like I could watch this match a bunch more times, given what we got tonight with all the different, like none of their matches work the same way. So I think it's really amazing how good they are together. The chemistry is through the roof. Man, everything was excellent. The near falls. Sami Zayn's victory felt emotional and felt like a redemption for him. It's like finally he got the victory over Owens. He'd been working so hard and so long to get there. It felt like he got to a point, you know, and the ending, like when he hit that first haluva kick, you knew he was just going to hit one more and get the win. And you could just feel it. And that was
I didn't know that. I was sitting there like,
Yeah.
What the hell are you doing?
I almost thought that would
do
compromise his victory, but it was a cool moment because you didn't know for sure.
Yeah, because you have that Kevin Owens with that fighting spirit stuff where they have these moments where you no-sell something and you just come up with some kind of friggin' energy and just hit another move and the match moves into a different direction. But yeah, this match was, this was great. It really was. I like that point in the match where Kevin Owens, he attempted to go for the powerbomb on the ring apron, which like started this entire thing all the way back down in NXT, and that seems like so long ago. But yeah, I love that moment in the match. There was another moment where Kevin Owens went for the pop-up powerbomb, but Sami Zayn countered it and went, behind him, did the half-and-half suplex. Kevin Owens pops back up with that fighting spirit. He goes for Sami Zayn, but Sami Zayn hits him with another half-and-half suplex. That was a really great moment in the match.
What was the one where Sami? I don't know if we talked about this one because a lot of the moments got mixed up in my head. But the one where Sami drops him on the apron on the outside.
Oh, the brain buster on the ring apron.
Yeah.
That was one of the highlights of the match too.
That looked bad, man. And I don't know, was that a botch where Sami fell on his shoulder? Or was that part of the story?
Well, if it wasn't part of the story, they fucking
because they woven it in like right away.
They immediately went into telling that story with the possible shoulder injury. So one way or another,
either way, it was actually a cool moment.
Man, great stuff from these two guys. I can't see how both of these guys coexist on Raw.
Yeah, that's the only criticism I have. It's like, man, I wish they were split up after this.
Mm-hmm.
I wish at least Owens. To me, Owens would have benefited the most from going to SmackDown. I feel like he could have been such a big time name for that show. I just think that he would be that much more of a reason to watch SmackDown because
personally, and I think a lot of people feel this way too. I obviously don't want to speak for anyone but myself, but I think a lot of people feel that Kevin Owens is a guy right now who is one of the best, one of the most interesting to watch, and brings something to the table that a lot of other guys don't, which is creativity and innovation, something that a lot of characters don't have. You can pinpoint Kevin Owens, you know what I mean? You know what Kevin Owens is. He has his motivations. He has that non-mic work that we talk about.
Yes.
He did
And there was some good stuff today from
Yes,
See, I fucking hate that they stopped Roman Reigns from doing that because he doesn't do it anymore. Kevin Owens, that's my guy.
It makes him stand out,
Yeah.
you know, and because he's kind of a savage on the mic too, you know, he just says whatever is on his mind, and that's something, again, that makes him stick out. His character is excellent, so I think that if he went to SmackDown, he's that much more reason to watch SmackDown. Either way, though, I do kind of wish these guys were split up, because then whenever their match would happen, it would feel that much more special. But at the same time, like I just said earlier, I could see this match a lot more, and I don't think I would get tired of it at all, because they do something different to switch it up. I'm not saying, like, oh, let's have it every pay-per-view. What I'm saying is this match could happen a couple of times a year, every year for the next 5+ years, and I don't think I'm going to be sitting here like, what the hell? Like, I'm going to be sitting here saying, I wonder what they can do next. I mean, and that's such a compliment to the work of those two guys, because there's very few pairings that I would feel that way about. In fact, that might be one of the only ones I've ever felt that way about, because, hell, Baron Corbin and Dolph Ziggler only had a couple of matches, and I was already tired of that, and that was on a friggin' pre-show. So, I mean, you know, it just goes to show you how good those two guys really are. And, man, was this awesome. This was just basically fringing on a 5-star out of 5-star match. I mean, really, there wasn't too many flaws that I could see.
It was nice because it was... Well, this is one reason why it was good and one reason why it could have been better, but it wasn't for anything. There was no stipulation. So that... But they fought as if there was. Like, they fought as if something really was on the line, because these two actually are characters. So very rare instances of characters.
And that's why we may need to see this match one more time. We had Austin in the chat saying, I honestly want another match between the two at SummerSlam. They need to have a loser leaves Raw match.
I don't think at SummerSlam. I think this was too good to have it again so soon.
It has to happen at some time, though. Like, there needs to be something that happens to get them on separate brands, because as long as they exist on a show where they can affect one another, then I think that WWE has to continue to go back to that well, because, and of course, like, some shit can happen to where they just, you know, snap of a finger. Okay, you don't touch him, he doesn't touch you, and, you know, put them in their separate corners on the same show. But just with the way that this has naturally played out, and knowing those two characters and knowing the story that they've told, I want that story to be true. I want that story to be constant, that these guys cannot succeed as long as they're, you know, in each other's orbits. They're going to continue to try to destroy each other. So I want to see them separated, you know, and then somewhere down the line, you know, we get that clash once again.
Yeah, but it's hard to say if they're even going to do that, because if they wanted them on separate brands, they would have done so. But I guess we'll see what happens.
Okay, and speaking of seeing what happens, let's move on to the next match here. Becky Lynch versus Natalya. This was a singles match where Becky Lynch tapped out to the sharpshooter. So Natalya is your winner in a match that we're not even sure why it was happening. So.
Oh, it was perfectly positioned on the card because I was worn out after that last one. So good thing the next one I didn't care about.
I forget who it was. Maybe it was JBL or Michael Cole. Shit, I don't know. But somebody on commentary said, I'm not sure what Natalya was thinking there, referring back to her attacking Becky Lynch at Money in the Bank. And that was the whole fucking basis of this match here. So a month after Natalya goes crazy, even the fucking commentators, the ones who are supposed to push the story, they don't even know what the story is. They don't know what her motivations were. So how the hell are we as fans supposed to invest in what we're seeing? So
And poor Becky,
I mean, this match happened.
Poor Becky taps out to Natalya, who's no one cares about Natalya. Can I say that? Like, no one. She's not very interesting as a wrestler. And she's on SmackDown where there's no women. There's like 4, right? 3.
I mean,
4.
Becky is over there. They could do that match a few more times.
That's what I said.
Yeah,
I said poor Becky. There's no women on there.
Yeah, well, see, who else is there besides them? What, Carmella and Eva Marie?
Alexa Bliss.
God.
Who was that again?
Yeah, Alexa Bliss is
Who is that again? Where the fuck is Cass? Man.
Look, I stopped
he
watching
knows what's
NXT
up.
because a lot of the guys that I liked moved up on the roster.
And the whole goal of NXT is to create new stars and move new people up in those positions.
I know,
and
but
they've
I have
done that very well.
They have, yeah. I'm not knocking.
How do you know? You don't even watch.
Because I check up on the new guys every now and then. They seem interesting. I don't know. Kevin Owens was a big reason why I watched NXT.
And he was there for like a hot minute.
Yeah, Kevin Owens was excellent there, but he was too damn good to stay down there for too long. Actually, he's probably too damn good for the main roster. I don't know. Anyway, I guess that's besides the point of this match. Becky, you know what? It's honestly almost better to just make side conversation than really discuss this match, because I don't have a whole lot to say, because I didn't really have a whole lot of attention that I put into this match, because I couldn't, because I had just been blown away by an amazing match between Sami and Kevin, and now here we are with this match, and I just, the crowd was asleep. I was asleep. I think we all were kind of asleep and daydreaming and not really paying a whole lot of attention. Natalya going over, I'm not really all that excited with. I was kind of hoping this would be a nice victory for Becky Lynch. I mean, I guess they can continue the feud since the heel goes over, but that's not necessarily a good thing, because I don't really want this feud to keep going. I'm all set with it being over. I'm all set with it being done and finished, but... Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to say. It was definitely one of the downers of the night, if not the downer. I'm disappointed Becky Lynch didn't win, but I'm a lot more disappointed that she didn't win than I am with the match. I just didn't really... I'm pretty indifferent toward it. That's all I gotta say. Let's move on.
Well, I am glad it was there, because I couldn't do another match after that first one.
Well, I'm glad that Natalya is a heel and no longer face, just so I don't have to hear her try to will the crowd into the match that, come on, you guys, like that. So the fact that she's heel, at least there's something to be thankful for. So you do have that. What do we have next? The Miz defending the Intercontinental Championship versus Darren Young. I was watching this match here, and I was like, okay, this is solid, some solid action. Not too thrilling, but they're going in there and they're,
hot ass mess. That's what you're gonna say.
Yeah, it turned into a fucking hot ass, steaming, boiling mess.
Yeah.
I don't even know what happened, and
neither do I. It's weird.
Like Maurice, she just collapsed to the ground. She slaps Bob Backlund. She collapses to the ground. And then it seemed like it was 20 fucking minutes her trying to get, I think, the Miz's attention to tell the Miz that Bob Backlund pushed her. And then he jumps out of the ring. Bob Backlund spends another 20 minutes trying to take his shirt off. And
he couldn't get that damn shirt off, man. I tell you, that the real wrestling match here was Bob Backlund versus the fucking shirt.
You want to know what's funny about this thing, too? I'm sitting there, and I'm watching the Miz, like, close in on Bob Backlund. And honestly, I'm like, if I was betting on Bob Backlund versus the Miz, I'm putting my money on Bob Backlund. I don't know what it is, but I think he can kick the Miz's ass. He really, I believe it. But, yeah, we had Darren Young jump out of the ring.
I think the point was that she was trying to make it look like Bob Backlund attacked her.
Yeah, I get that part, but it's just the execution of it was so weird.
It was stupid. And yeah, okay, so yeah, you could finish.
Yeah, Darren Young, he jumps out of the ring, he attacks the Miz, puts him in a crossface chicken wing, and I guess it was a double count out. Yeah, so that happened.
Well, this is such a Vince project, this whole Darren Young character. He's like, because he doesn't pay attention to the culture, but he probably does pay attention to politics because he wants those tax cuts. So, he sees Donald Trump, and he sees the cultural phenomenon that Donald Trump is, as evidenced by my hat, and he says, "Damn it, I'm gonna put this on my show." And he takes some random. He's like, "Give it to Darren Young, damn it." And he just puts together this gimmick, and he's gonna push him for some reason. Like this
why
is
Darren Young was the person that he chose is so out of.
Well,
I was
who the
about to
fuck
say
knows?
something, but I'm not.
Because it's funny. That's probably why. Because it's hilarious. Because like no one would expect. It's just so weird. That's probably why. But
Yeah, a gay minority Donald Trump gimmick. Oh no.
Hey, Donald Trump loves our gays, right? He loves them.
Yeah, he wants to protect them from.
He does.
I'm not even gonna say it.
Yeah,
I was about to say something.
Gentlemen, we have an Intercontinental Championship match to discuss here. This is not about politics. This is about The Miz versus Darren Young. I'm sorry, I almost forgot who was against him.
Yeah.
All I remember is that Bob Backlund lost the match to his freaking shirt because he had the overalls, the straps on. So he couldn't get the shirt through the straps. I was sitting there laughing my ass off. I wish I could have recorded my live reaction. I was dying over Bob Backlund not being able to get his shirt off. I did not care at all about the match. All I cared about was if Bob Backlund could get that damn shirt off, man. I'll tell you, the IC title match itself, like Jay said, I think you summed it up perfectly. Some good action in the beginning, and then it just became a hot-ass mess. It really did.
Well, they want to push, or I should say Vince wants to push Darren Young, but you can't get him the pin, so... And you can't have him win, because then Raw will have 2 titles, so it doesn't... You have to do a stupid finish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
you have
I
to
see
do...
it.
You know
But
what?
this was beyond stupid, so...
Yes, it was. This was very stupid. I guess that's all that needs to be said on that.
Yeah,
one.
pretty much.
Okay, John Cena, Enzo Amore, and Big Cass versus the Club. AJ Styles, Luke Gallows, and Carl Anderson. Before we get to this actual match, it needs to be said that fucking Enzo Amore, that promo that he cut before the match, that was some great stuff. Like, we look at the pairing of, all of those 6 guys, and phenomenal would be the word that you attach to somebody like an AJ Styles, but on the mic, Enzo Amore, he definitely gets the phenomenal tag.
He is
tonight.
Smack Talker Skywalker.
Yes,
truly.
Smack Talker Skywalker, and he has a mic saber for a hater.
Couple haters. Couple haters.
Man, that guy is... Oh, he's so
I love
freaking good.
Enzo and Cass so much.
Yeah,
They are,
Enzo, he's the shit. Yeah.
He is. They are so refreshing, man. They are so refreshing.
I'm sorry, but Cass, I don't know what he wasn't this bad in NXT.
What do you mean
sure
bad? He's not bad at all. What are you talking
he's
about?
he's terrible in the mic. He sounds like a kid
No, he's
that was
not.
forced to read.
Oh, I
in
disagree
middle
completely.
school.
I think Cass is good. I don't think he's as good as Enzo. Especially, he looks a lot worse when he's next to Enzo on the
He
mic.
sounds like he's reading from cue cards every
I
time
do-
he
he
talks on the
doesn't.
mic.
I don't get that vibe. I think he sounds great.
I get the vibe of him reading off cue cards, but I like it though. It's actually like to me it's a pro of his character.
I could see. I could see that.
He's kind of the big like goof type of character. Like that's kind of who he. I mean, Enzo and Cass are kind of lighthearted, So like Cass being lighthearted and talking a little slower and like he's kind of reading is I'm okay with that.
I'm not buying that. Mm-mm.
I-
I don't
I'm
think
fine
that's
with it.
intentional.
I
at
think
all.
he's
Oh
good.
no,
I
I'm
don't
not
see
saying it's
anything wrong with it.
intentional. I'm just saying that their gimmick is light, so it works. Like it doesn't really matter to me.
I don't
Like,
think I don't think it's intentional either, but I don't think he's reading off of cue cards. I mean,
Well, no, he's not.
from the interviews I've heard, he's a very anxious guy. He has a lot of anxiety, especially compared to Enzo. If you listen to him on, I don't even remember if it was Jericho or Austin, but he talks about that, how he's always filled with anxiety, and
I
Enzo
can
just
definitely
doesn't.
get that.
Enzo doesn't give a shit. Like Enzo has no problem at all.
Enzo was doing the Running Man for crying out loud. The guy
Or
was going
something.
on.
He was doing something. Yeah.
I'll
He's
tell you,
like on
when he
cocaine
said,
constantly.
I think when he gave us the list of things we should never do, he was right about every single one of them, especially when he said to never wear Crocs ever. Which he's very right about. So, but I mean, that promo, man, before the match, and again, I think that's just a credit to how good that promo was. We're already sitting here talking about it because it was so enjoyable. I really think Enzo and Cass are so fun.
Ironically, I didn't care much for that promo.
I thought it was very fun. It
was. I don't
have
necessarily
anything fit before a match so much, but I think it was really fun, and that's why
I have nothing bad to say about it. I just have higher standards for Enzo because I've liked his other promos more, but this one wasn't bad.
His main roster promos?
Yeah. I liked the one with the Dudley debut, with their debut against the Dudleys. I like that one.
Yeah, I'd say this one was probably second only to the debut
second
promo.
Or third, but I guess I'm always looking for the best one every time.
Damn, that's a really high standard.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this match now. John Cena wins, getting the pin over AJ Styles with their super attitude adjustment.
Yep.
It's wonderful that it took a super attitude adjustment to pin AJ Styles. I think that's great.
Interesting booking there.
And I think that it's good that Cena went over here because it fuels the fire for a rubber match between them at SummerSlam. And they're both on SmackDown, so you get away with it in that way too. And I think the six-man tag was pretty solid. I liked when Enzo was in the ring with Anderson and Gallows, and was able to use his speed to kind of get out of a situation where obviously he was in storyline wise was in a bunch of trouble because he's very small compared to those two guys. I actually think the pacing and the back and forth with a lot of different action was pretty fun, and like I said, that for a finish that was interesting and sets up the rubber match for Styles and Cena. So I got no complaints.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm a little wary of that booking because they could in a six-man tag you can end the match any way you want. You don't have to pin one of the two most important guys in there.
Exactly.
They could have pinned Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, or Enzo and Cass. So the only way this makes sense to me is if AJ Styles wins the rubber match, because if he gets pinned twice, then I'm kind of questioning it. But it's not the worst thing. I just kind of a little bit confused why they pinned AJ.
Yeah, that's the confusing part to me as well. You could have easily gone with one of the other guys from the club for John Cena to pin, but yeah, it was AJ Styles here in what was a very entertaining match. I actually did like this match. There was a point where it got a little sloppy though, like when John Cena went for the AA on Styles and Luke Gallows pulled AJ out of the ring. Like a lot of what happened after that, that's one of those moments where pro wrestling slips into being way too choreographed, and you see people standing around expecting for something to happen and stuff
I noticed
like that.
That happens a lot with the club. I thought these guys were really good.
Yeah, that match that they had with the tag title match, right, when it was New Day and them and whoever was in it. Remember, it was, what was that, last pay-per-view or the one before where it was an awful tag title match when you expected it to be really good because it was a bunch of cool teams. Yeah, and it felt very choreographed because a lot of the things that we said were Gallows and Anderson standing around. And that's ironic because in this match there was a little bit of that too. But I wasn't anywhere near as evident in this match. There's a couple moments where I see what you guys are saying. Although
but
I
that's
do think
interesting though, Steven, you make that connection with the club. I never really
like
I could say I saw it in this match, I saw it in the previous match, but I never made that. I'm gonna be very
I mean,
I'm gonna
and
be watching
2 times isn't
on.
necessarily a pattern, but it is kind of see what happens. Maybe
I guess we'll see.
Maybe it won't happen again.
But overall, good match though from all of these guys.
Yeah, good match.
And that the point in the match where Enzo was kind of no, he wasn't even kind of he was literally puffing his chest out when he was he was in the ring with Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. That was good stuff too. Enzo works in the same way that Xavier Woods does, like I was talking about earlier, but this is a more extreme case when it comes to Enzo. Me actually getting a chance to see him wrestle, it's kind of cool because he rarely does it, and he doesn't even need to, and he's still fucking entertaining. So he's an enigma to me. But yeah, good stuff from all of these guys here. Before we move on to the main event, we had the highlight reel with Chris Jericho interviewing a returning Randy Orton who had on pants. This is some huge fucking news here. Randy Orton wore pants for the first time in some years, so good on him. Yeah, and he talked about his match that he's gonna be having with Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. Chris Jericho was there. He served in his role to stir the pot, be an instigator, and turns out it paid dividends because Randy Orton, he had a little line there. Let me find this line. He was talking about how he was going to get into the ring with Brock Lesnar and beat him, and he said, quote unquote, no enhancement needed. And yeah,
yep.
Shots fired.
Shots fired, but those with glass houses should not throw stones, considering he's had 2 suspensions himself. So,
see, that's why he said that it's not needed, because he's already gotten his benefit from it. So yeah, it's not needed like right now.
Yeah. So now he's off the gas now.
Can I just say that Chris Jericho's new catchphrase is so funny? I laugh every time. Drink it in, man.
Yeah, Chris Jericho is just like douchey and awesome.
I think him and Bray Wyatt must have had a conversation or something, because he says "man" in the same way that Bray Wyatt. He's kind of like the "hey man," like, you know, like it's like, I don't know what's going on with that, but I mean, maybe he's been a part of the Wyatt family all along, and we just didn't.
I just think it's so funny. It makes me like I was cracking up even when I know it's coming.
I thought this segment really would have been so much better for tomorrow night or Tuesday. And I know that
maybe
they're on different brands, though, I believe, because
Randy's gonna have to be on Raw, right? Or at least Lesnar's gonna have to be on SmackDown.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, whatever. I guess that's how they get away with it. But I just think this segment being on a pay-per-view, I'm never really a huge fan of like a longer promo segment being on a pay-per-view, just because I'm ready to watch wrestling, and that's really what it's there for to me. I'm not saying this wasn't a good segment at all. It actually wasn't that bad. But I, was like, oh, this is taking up pay-per-view time? Like, I don't know. And when Orton said Viperville, I was like, oh, God. That kind of...
Randy is always kind of not really...
It comes off very... like unorganic.
It's not Randy. Like, I don't know why he's like pandering to the crowd, and it's not him, man.
It never feels genuine at all. Like when he was like, "Oh, it's so good to be back." It was like it just seems so cheesy.
I thought that was like him kind of throwing us off the scent, like something that's gonna really go down here. He's gonna flip or turn some way, because I get that. It didn't seem real at all, because Randy Orton does not give a shit. You know it. He does not care at all, but he was out there. Outside of the stuff where he was like blatantly pandering and that Viperville, you could tell that was a line fed to him by the creative team. But outside of that stuff, I really enjoyed the segment. Not to say that it, was so amazing, but I liked seeing Randy Orton back and seeing him with a bit of energy, because it's not going to last that long. It always happens with Randy Orton.
I like seeing him, but I don't like seeing babyface Randy on the mic ever.
This was a good performance from him, though, I thought.
It's not like he's bad. It's not like he gives bad promos. I just think it's like I feel gross. I don't know. Like, I just feel like it's so non-genuine. Like, it's not him. I want to see like the badass Viper Randy. If he's face, I don't want him to talk. If he's heel, he can talk. But I don't know. But yeah, it wasn't bad. It was, and I enjoy Chris Jericho when he's heel. He's another one that I hate as a babyface, even more than I hate babyface Randy. I never want to see Chris Jericho as a face again.
Yeah, especially with as amazing as he is as a heel, because he was standing there when he did the little thing where he was talking about, I talked to someone who's good friends with Brock Lesnar, and he said that you're a stupid idiot. I was just sitting there like, okay, you talked to quote unquote someone.
Drink it in, man.
I like that he said it was Lesnar's words and not his, even though like it's so obvious, stupid idiot. So heel Jericho is just so much better. It really is. He's always been his best as a heel, but I mean, like, there were moments where it was like, maybe a face Jericho could work, but the way he was these last couple years when he was a face was really difficult to drink in, man. So.
And that other line he had where he said Stephanie has been one of his favorite people ever since he stepped foot in WWE. I was like, I remember those days.
I see you, Jericho. I know what you're doing.
Bottom feeding trash bag hoe and all of that. Okay.
Yeah, the Planet of the Apes.
But probably one of the most iconic things he's ever said. And it's against her.
It was so funny when he interviewed her on the WWE Network and he was going over all of that, and you could tell like she's so far removed from that point in her life. She was just like, okay, yeah. Okay, so speaking of Stephanie, she was actually at ringside for the main event of the night, the WWE Championship match. She was there along with her brother Shane, Daniel Bryan, and Mick Foley. They were all there representing their respective brands, Raw or SmackDown, to see where the WWE Championship would end up at the end of the night. We had Dean Ambrose defending versus Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins in a triple threat match for the WWE Championship. WWE production team, fucking amazing. That video package.
Oh yeah, that video package is one of my favorites. That's like in my top 5 right now.
Yes. Man, I was getting the feels. I was really getting the feels.
Me too.
And I didn't know how excited I was for this match until mere minutes before the match, and I'm thinking about the journeys that these guys have going on to lead them to where they are right now. You have these guys who came into WWE as a unit, and now they're a unit, but just in a different way, competing against each other for the WWE Championship, the top title in the promotion, the main event of a pay-per-view, all of that history leading to this one moment in time. It was a lot to handle. And at the end of the day, Dean Ambrose, he is your WWE champion, taking the title over to SmackDown.
So glad that he won. I'm so glad because I don't like these title reigns that are so short. Like no defenses, I guess, except for one. I wouldn't have liked that. Also, he's just the right guy to win it. Like from a spiritual storytelling point of view.
Spiritual? What the?
Like from a narrative, like the spirit of the Shield. Like who else can win the triple threat, right?
Seth Rollins.
Yeah, but then
Roman Reigns.
But if Seth wins, like that shows you nothing got resolved. He's the guy who broke up the Shield. You want him to win it? Like what's the story there? Roman Reigns is by far the underdog, and he's also just coming off of a wellness policy violation. So
it's something about you when you talk about Dean Ambrose, just like the verbiage you use is very interesting, like practical victories and spiritual and.
Well,
hey, you got to make your case for your favorite guy, right?
Yeah, he's earning his check.
I gotta say, I'm really glad Ambrose won too, though. I'm in the same boat because, to me, it was a case of anybody but Roman for tonight. And again, I've already made myself clear well beforehand that I thought that there was 2 different ways I could have gone about this. Number one was to hold him accountable and not have him be a part of this match because of the wellness policy violation in life, not in storyline. Nothing. Forget about the rest of it. And then possibility number 2 was to have him be away from this match because of the violation, but to have him sabotage the match, to destroy both Ambrose and Rollins, turn full-fledged heel, middle finger to the crowd, whatever, maybe not legitimately, but you get what I mean. He's basically a middle finger from what he's doing. Destroy everything, look like a complete badass, but at the same time look like a complete jackass. And despite destroying that match here at Battleground, that sets up your triple threat match for the Big 4 pay-per-view at SummerSlam. I think that was a better way to have gone about this whole thing than having this triple threat match tonight. Although the match, I gotta say, was freaking awesome.
It was.
But I don't know. There was something missing, I feel like, still. Yeah, just a little bit. Maybe it's just me, like, sometimes in your mind when there's a match that you look that forward to, your expectations are so high that you kind of get let down by it almost, even though it is very good still. I don't know. I would have rather had this be Ambrose versus Rollins with Reigns just taking over the match and then leading to our triple threat for SummerSlam. I think that build-up is better. I think that story progression is better. So I think WWE really missed the mark by having Reigns just wrestle in this match.
As somebody is saying in the chat, that something missing was the fact that Ambrose won. No, I don't. That would only work with me. That's not working with Steven or Evan because they're like on board with Ambrose winning. I mean, let me just say, there were a lot of moments that I enjoyed about this match and had some great stuff. Them beating Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins beating down Roman Reigns. I thought that was great stuff because you got the interaction from the crowd. Of course, they loved seeing that. And then them powerbombing Roman Reigns through the announcer's table. I really liked that point in the match because it was a clear indication that, this guy, he's kind of a badass, and we need to make sure we neutralize him to increase our chances of winning the match. And then, of course, all of the dynamic that flows into that, the fact that Seth Rollins broke up the Shield and Dean Ambrose was teaming with him to attack his friend Roman Reigns. And, yeah, I went crazy during that.
And then I liked how Seth immediately took the chair. That was good.
Yep. Great stuff from Seth Rollins. One of my biggest issues with him is the fact that WWE didn't let him rest on his own skills, and they would just provide lip service to him being an architect, and they wouldn't let that play out on TV. That was an example of them letting it play out on TV. He uses Dean Ambrose to attack Roman Reigns, and then immediately, right after that, he goes on the attack. So, great stuff from Seth Rollins.
And that splash that he did onto Ambrose was really cool.
Yeah, that frog splash where
we didn't even impact on that.
Yeah, we didn't even see anything. We just saw him come from the fucking top of the fucking camera and just crash down on Dean Ambrose. That was great stuff. Yeah, what else is there to say about this match?
There was the spot where I don't even remember the sequence, but it was Reigns giving the Superman punch to both of them. And then Ambrose kind of rebounded and took out Reigns with the clothesline. It was like a sequence of them all doing their signatures.
Yeah, that was something crazy going on. I remember that because all three guys were doing something different, and they were converging in the middle of the ring.
They all ended up down on the mat at that point.
I have to go back and rewatch that because I remember it being awesome, but I don't remember exactly what happened because so much was going on. But
yeah, it was really cool.
That was a great point.
And I like that Rollins, like Steven just said, had turned his back right away on Ambrose. Like, they work together, and then he just grabs a chair and says, you know what, fuck this. This is a triple threat, no DQs, I'm taking advantage. I really like that. I like that they did work together to take out Reigns because he's the quote-unquote strongest one out of the three based off the fact that, he's obviously bigger and, he's the power guy. So you take the power guy out. Now, it's like the triple threat that happened, I believe it was Rollins, Lesnar, and Cena from back in Royal Rumble 2015 where they took Lesnar out. With that match, and I know Jay just had a flashback of, how great that match was. It was amazing. That was an amazing match, and I feel like it's underrated. People do not talk about that match enough because it was so damn good. Mm-hmm. And they took Lesnar out, same type of scenario. Take him out for a while because he's the strongest guy in this match. So it was a sensible move to do. And,
also, it made sense from Ambrose's point of view because Ambrose knows that he could beat Rollins. He doesn't know that he could beat Reigns because Reigns.
Yeah, he just beat Rollins on Tuesday, so he knows he can. Sure. Yeah. I mean, and there you go. And I like this. So the psychology was definitely there. There were some good near falls thrown in there as well. I know when Reigns hit the spear, that I thought the match could potentially be over. Ambrose broke up the pinfall. So everybody had their near falls, and I think the way the match finished was actually really good. Too. So, I mean, again, like I said, it did feel like almost a little bit of something was missing, but I think it's just the bigger feel.
I think it was too short.
Maybe a little short.
A little bit short, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit short, and I think the big feel of the big match feel being at a big four, I think it would have felt a lot bigger. It's the bigger stage. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just there is something when it's at SummerSlam, there's more on the line. It's because it's the big night of the summer. It's the biggest pay-per-view since WrestleMania and the biggest one until Royal Rumble. I mean, Survivor Series is still a big four, but it just doesn't have the same feel as the other three as it used to. So really, it's like that last big pay-per-view of the year, unless they make Survivor Series matter like they did a couple years back.
No,
when
this
Sting
actually
debuted.
almost felt like a big pay-per-view to me. I don't know what it was. Like
It had its moments of feeling big.
The theme of Battleground was actually emphasized with the music and the packages, and you had 2 grudge matches. Well, I guess you could say 3, but you had Owens and Zayn, and then you had the Shield triple
Natalya
threat.
and Becky Lynch.
Yeah, so there were a lot of grudge matches.
I was joking.
I guess I guess I wasn't even listening to what you said, because I didn't even realize how stupid that sounds.
Wait,
yeah.
what happened? I just zoned out.
I
He's
said
talking
there were
about the
grudge
matches that made Battleground feel big, and I said Natalya versus Becky Lynch.
Yeah, and I
Oh,
said yeah.
yes. See, the thing is,
But I wasn't
without that
thinking.
match, we couldn't have had this pay-per-view. It just wouldn't have happened.
Yeah,
you know?
but those 2 matches, like, I don't know, and the video package, all the video packages are
package
good
is awesome.
tonight. Even the ones for Owens is good too. So I felt like this could be one of those pay-per-views that become big. Like Money in the Bank has sort of become a big pay-per-view now.
Yeah.
I could see Battleground could become one of those if they keep booking it like this. But I don't remember what the other one.
This was a very solid pay-per-view, I think, overall.
Oh yeah,
It really was.
This was
It
good.
really
This was
was.
I think I know, well, at least from my perspective, what was missing from this triple threat match. And I think the thing was that this match, it got caught up in the lights. And what I mean by that is WWE pulled a switcheroo, because the video package that we were all raving about before the match, like immediately after the match ended, that was no longer the story. Because if you guys notice in that video package, they were telling the story. These 3 guys started out in WWE. They were talking about how they were going to take over the business, and they were talking about how they were so united, and they were this and they were that, and they played the entire story of the Shield coming to WWE together, the Shield dominating, the Shield on their quest for justice, the Shield breaking up, and then the separate ways they went and how they came back together. And after the match, immediately after the match ended, none of that fucking mattered anymore, because it was all about SmackDown versus Raw, and it was all about the title going over to SmackDown, and that became more important than the story of the Shield. That became more important than these 3 guys being solidified as the top stars in WWE. There was no talk about, like Steven, you were talking about earlier, this was the only way that this match could have ended because Dean Ambrose did this, and Seth Rollins was the one who ended the Shield, and he couldn't win the match, and Roman. None of that mattered. None of that dynamic had any fucking ramifications to the narrative that was built, because it was all about the title was on SmackDown now. And it was so crazy because before the match, I saw they did the camera to the back, and they showed all of the superstars sitting around the TV, and I was like, oh shit, they're really pushing this match like it's something big. All of the superstars are watching this. And then I realized it's only a SmackDown versus Raw thing. Then you had Stephanie out there, and Mick Foley, and Shane McMahon, and Daniel Bryan. It's just that mattered
I guess
more
they did.
than the actual story, and that's kind of unfortunate.
Maybe that's part of what was missing then. I don't know. Maybe it just wasn't enough about the... And again, that's part of having the championship involved that can also take away from the dynamic of the Shield guys, because now you're worried about who wins the title more than you are about who is the top Shield guy. If you just had a triple threat with Ambrose, Rollins, and Reigns, just a triple threat, no championship on the line, then it's about bragging rights within the group. I'm the best member of the Shield. I'm the one who's the top guy out of these 3. I almost feel like that could have maybe played into what you're talking about, Jay. Like that might have been more of a Shield story only. But because you have the championship and the brand split happening with Dean Ambrose being a SmackDown guy and the other 2 being Raw guys, it meant that much more for Ambrose to win, because now SmackDown has the WWE title on it as well. So, I mean, maybe that's part of what was missing.
Don't forget
for
that
me,
Roman Reigns also was absent for the entire build, so that was...
That too.
That
This is what...
also.
And this is what I was talking about when I said him sabotaging the match, and then that leading into the triple threat at SummerSlam makes way more sense. Because if he's not there for any of the build-up, then he's just there for the match. It almost feels like he's just being gifted a match, despite the fact that he broke the damn rules. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You pay the price, which is not being in the match, WWE takes advantage of that with the storyline, comes in, destroys, both Ambrose and Rollins, says fuck WWE for what they just did, makes him come off as anti-establishment, and in the process, he's going to get a better reaction now as a result, because people like that anti-establishment feel more than they like the way that he's trying to be forcibly cheered. Cheer him, cheer him, cheer him. Now they're not saying cheer him, they're saying boo him, boo him, boo him. He's anti-establishment. So the fans want to do against what WWE would want, and then they would actually cheer him more. He'd still get boos. I'm not saying he'd be 100% loved now, but he would get cheered more than he would here. I go back to TLC from last year. He did that badass shit with Triple H. He got way more reaction then than he did in any of the months before and after, because he was a badass in that moment, and he would have been a badass in this moment too. He says, fuck the suspension, I'm coming out and I'm destroying this match. I was supposed to be in this match. I still have my rematch. And then that leads into your Shield triple threat for SummerSlam. I think it's like, that's like putting two puzzle pieces together. That's so easy, I think that just works. It's smooth sailing, man. That's good stuff. But
something I also thought was missing from this match, and this is something that I like to do, and it gets me in trouble so much, and people love to rag on me for this, because I like to see continuity in WWE, and I like to see development of characters and things that make sense for these characters within WWE. And put yourself in the shoes of Roman Reigns, if you will. You're sitting at home for an entire month with somebody on TV every fucking chance they got talking shit about you. Just constantly berating you, driving your name into the damn dirt. Now, you know that throughout that entire month, there's absolutely nothing that you could do about it. What are you going to do the very first chance you do have to do something about it? You're going to go straight for that dude. If I was in the shoes of Roman Reigns and WWE, the universe, was real, you would have had to call the National Guard to keep me off of Seth Rollins' ass. Seriously, you wouldn't need to call the fucking National Guard in there, because I would have been beating the entire hell out of him. All of that frustration I felt for that entire month, I would have been on him. There would have been no bell, no referee, no general manager, no commissioner to keep me off of him. And we didn't get that. So I think that was something that was missing also. But overall, it was a good match. I think it just got caught up in the lights a little bit with bigger things that are happening in WWE. So, yeah. Overall, thoughts on Battleground?
It was a good show. There was only one or two matches that were shit, and they weren't even. I guess okay, the Darren Young one was shit. The Natalya one wasn't bad. It was just no one cared. So only one bad match. That's it. Such a pretty good show, and one excellent match and a few good matches. So
yeah, I mean Bob Backlund versus his shirt was a highlight reel for me. Yeah, I obviously, since I got here a little late, I'll just quickly say that I think the opening tag with Bayley being Sasha's partner, amazing. Amazing way to start this night, get the crowd hyped up right away, set the tone. That's what that first match needs to do. Did that really well here. I thought the six-man tag, the Wyatts versus the New Day, that was a really fun six-man tag. I was actually really surprised the Wyatt family won, but it was definitely a good match that I enjoyed. I liked that Xavier Woods was like almost traumatized by Bray at a couple different moments. He snapped out of it. The crowd just went crazy once he snapped out of it. That was a cool moment too, and I thought that the Wyatt family winning was nice. They actually needed that, but now it doesn't really matter because Braun's on Raw. And then that third match, the U.S. title, it was exactly what I expected it to be, which is okay. I did like the way Rusev, wrenched back on Zack Ryder. That always looks nasty when he does that. Really makes it look like that accolade is you can't get out of it. It's such a good submission. Other than that, like I already said, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens steals the night. Amazing match. Main event was awesome too. I'm glad that we on this show were able to point out some of the flaws and some of the things about the match that weren't perfect, because it was not a perfect match. And I don't think most of these matches ever could really be perfect. But there was factors going into it and around it that I think definitely could have been better. And I really
do have couple little gripes with it, but overall I think it was a great main event. The IC title match was a mess. Natalya and Becky Lynch, was following Zayn versus Owens, so good luck to you there. And then what else do we have? The Enzo and Cena and Cass against the club was excellent as well. I enjoyed that a lot. So a really good Battleground pay-per-view. I really don't have too many complaints. Like I said, those couple matches maybe weren't that amazing, but for the most part, a really good night, I think, for WWE, and definitely heading into the brand split on a good note. So that's really a positive thing.
Yeah, overall good show. Match of the night definitely goes to Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens, and the Shield match. I mean, it happened. It happened. Good match.
You're making it sound a lot worse than it was. It was not bad. It was good. But
remember what you said earlier about Enzo with your high expectations? Yeah,
I know, but the thing with that is that Enzo always delivers on the mic. We have never seen a Shield triple threat, so there's really nothing to. It's not necessarily fair to hold it up to so much hype. I know there was a lot of hype.
Yes, the hell it is. Yes, it is fair. Do you see this shirt?
Is it though?
I have almost every single Shield shirt that was released.
There wasn't that many, or there?
That's beside the point, okay? I have almost every one of them, okay? That is a truthful statement.
No, I get it, man. I also expect the Shield triple threat to be like this phenomenal masterpiece of a match, but I think in my mind, realistically, I did not think it was gonna live up to that. I kind of knew that was a standard that wasn't going to be met. So
especially
I
when you have Bulbasaur win.
What's wrong with Bulbasaur, dude?
You know he's the weakest of the three.
He's not the weakest. What are you talking about?
Bulbasaur, there's nobody who ranks Bulbasaur above Charmander and Squirtle.
I don't even know Pokemon, so I'm just gonna move on.
You don't know Bulbasaur?
That's the first one. You probably thought Pikachu was one, right? I bet. Mm-hmm. But I'm not. It was a good match. It was a good match, but
I think that
and that's okay.
The higher you put the standard, though, the more chance there is, the more room there is for you to be disappointed, because the higher that you expect this match, like when the hype is through the roof and you're just expecting this, unbelievable 5-star match, the chances of you sitting there being like, it wasn't 5 stars. When your expectation is a 3 or 4-star match and then it's a 3 or 4-star match, then you're like, hey, this was great. This was exactly what I thought it would be. But I'm not saying that like it's wrong of anyone to expect a 5-star match here. We all should expect a 5-star match out of one of the best groups that WWE has ever had. That's like, you can't help but expect greatness. One of the best matches of the year. I'm not saying that about this match. I'm saying that about Zayn versus Owens tonight, not about that match.
Which is interesting because if you look at it, it's 2 stories of the breakdown of a friendship. Mm-hmm. This is just like a situation that WWE was in at WrestleMania, where you had 2 matches with similar stories, and one of those matches just gets everything. They were allowed to let their story play out. I don't really think the Shield triple threat
it was shorter, I think, too. I like Stevens mentioned, I really do think this match was a little shorter than I would have liked, and I think that's in large part due to the fact that you had this highlight reel segment before, which was a good 10-15 minutes of not necessary pay-per-view time that could have happened on Raw the next night. Thank you very much. Anyway, I'm just saying, man, I think you give the extra 10 minutes, this match probably is even better, and I think we've kind of gone over the list of the different things. Reigns not being there, all these different factors, they play a big role as to why this match wasn't quite as good as it would have been. Again, out of 5 stars, I'd still probably give it 4. This was still a very, very good match, and I think we're just being realistic and saying okay, like, we expected Cloud9, and it wasn't that high. It wasn't quite that damn good, but it was still a very good match. It's not to take away from it or to denounce it or say it wasn't, this was crap or anything like that, or it was meh, it wasn't that good. This was a very, very good match. It just wasn't, like, match of the year that you might have, like, expected it to be going into it.
Alrighty, guys, and that is it for this episode of PWF Empire Live. We'll be back on Wednesday. WWE, why did you have to ruin that? It doesn't even have the same...
Wednesday. I don't know. We gotta come up with something different.
It doesn't have the same flair to it,
Yeah.
But we'll figure it out. We'll work it out. And hopefully you guys tune into that show. Feel free to go ahead and rate this video. Thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you think it deserves. More than welcome to do so. And we will catch you later. Anything from you, Evan or Luke, Steven?
Yeah, no, I pretty much summed up what I had to say, so.
Make America great again.
Oh,
Goodbye.
Man.